And we're back. In part one, we were talking about using non-standard English to leave clues about your character, like in A Summer Tragedy by Orna Bontemps. But be very careful about using slang or non-standard English that doesn't belong to you. You can easily and unintentionally cross the line into stereotyping. For example, I grew up in Hawaii, and when I read Hawaiian Pidgin English written by someone who didn't grow up hearing it all around them, it sounds awful, really phony, almost like the writer is making fun of that way of speaking. How's it, brah? I was just sitting down with my ohana at a luau for kaukau. If you really want to add some diverse culture to your story, and that's a good goal to have, you might want to venture to throw in a couple of indications of the particular way that person talks, just to give your reader a heads up, but then retreat to like a 9-to-1 mix of standard and non-standard English. A little goes a long, long way. And if you know someone who talks like that, you can ask them if it sounds genuine. And if you don't know anyone who talks like that, should you really be trying to create a character who does? Something to think about. But the opposite side of that coin is writing all your dialogue so all the characters sound just like you. In every first draft I write, all the characters sound like a middle-aged, middle-class English teacher from the suburbs in the early 21st century. Every character, including the women and children, talks just like me. That's not good writing. It's usually in revision that I go back and rewrite their words with some flavor and personality. I choose words and expressions that I don't usually use myself. In this excerpt from All American Boys, the dad says, "If it walks like a duck and talks like a duck." Now, I don't use that expression myself, but I've heard it and I understand it, so I could use it. Maybe I might make a teenage character say, "Okay, you don't even know, dude." I don't talk like that, but I know a lot of people who do. In the excellent resource, Write Great Dialogue, the author Irving Weinman describes this as, quote, "a minefield," unquote, and dedicates a whole chapter to it. It's tricky to write about people who are very different from yourself, so go easy with markers particular to an ethnic, racial, regional, gender, or age group. But whatever culture you belong to, that language belongs to you, and you should use it. Own it. But do it honestly and do that culture justice. You can accidentally stereotype yourself, and your people too. It's worth the effort to get it right. Other people will learn about them through your words. And keep in mind that culture is more than just where your ancestors came from. But that's a topic for a different video. Personality? Personality is another thing entirely. Go nuts with personality. Maybe the person is syrupy sweet like your Aunt Alice. Sketchy like your friend whose speech is full of double meanings, if you know what I mean, wink wink, nudge nudge, or adds little verbal tics in every other sentence like, you know? Maybe you have a mother character who is overly protective and whose every statement is some variation on be careful. In The Maltese Falcon, a vaguely European character says things like, "Oh, come, come, my boy," and we can really hear the condescension in his voice. Listen to people around you. How do insecure people talk? Do you know people who are a little suspicious of everyone and say things like, "What do you mean by that?" Do you know someone who thinks of himself as a nice guy but actually doesn't care about anyone but himself? What does he talk like? Or maybe you have a character that focuses on other people's clothes and social status, or is fair and open-minded enough to sit down and really get to know a person who is different from him in every way. How is the speech of confident people different from that of fearful or defensive people? What about introverts versus extroverts? What about different senses of humor? Some are sarcastic, some are dry or witty, and others are positively filthy. Make them different from you and from one another. As for profanity in dialogue, my opinion is that if using swear words is important to characterize your character, then by all means use swear words. I don't recommend students use profanity in their narration, but in dialogue it can be perfectly appropriate. But check with your teacher who might have a different opinion. Italics are another way to set speech apart. There are lots of different reasons to use italics, like for emphasis, but in Typical American, the author Gis Jen sometimes uses italics for dialogue. This is unusual. Most of the time, though, I see italics used to represent a character's inner thoughts that are not actually spoken out loud. Here, the character is thinking the words, "Who are these? Who are they? And where shall I go?" They can also be used to represent words written in a letter, a note, a song lyric, an email, text message, or a post on social media. And here, in a memoir by John Edgar Wideman, a man is reading a letter written by his brother. They can be used to indicate words a character is remembering or imagining. Here, in A Tale for the Time Being, a woman is imagining whales warning each other about whalers. Stay away. That was horrible. Where's Dory when you need her? The best way to write dialogue is to listen to real people talking and really pay attention to their words and how they say them, to read a lot of dialogue in books to see how other writers do it, and to show the character's speech when it contributes something to the story. I know, that's frustratingly unspecific, but there's no one right way to write good dialogue any more than there is one right way to make a sandwich. There are just sandwiches you like and sandwiches you don't like. If you're writing any kind of narrative, you need to know how to write dialogue. To recap this video: 1. Learn standard dialogue formatting. 2. Put a character's associated actions in the same paragraph as the dialogue, like with General Moncada, remember him? And in some cases, an action, like Ava's, can be treated as a line of dialogue. 3. You can use descriptive dialogue tags, but lean heavily on I said, he said, and she said, which won't distract your reader. 4. Suggest natural speech without actually representing it literally. 5. Write dialogue from characters unlike yourself and make your characters sound different from each other, but beware of stereotyping. There's a fine line, learn to walk it. 6. Give your characters personality. Dialogue is part of characterization. 7. There are also comments about the use of profanity in italics. There are whole books written entirely about how to write dialogue, but I think I've given you enough to get started. Okay, well, good luck with your dialogue.